Thank you for joining me today on The Buzz on Quality. Episode 5, How to Use Quality. Let's talk quality. How to use quality. Well, that's an interesting question. One that folks may not even think about, find important, find relevant. But once you have a system in place, you have to have a way to monitor it, a way to track it, a way to ensure it's working. But a lot of companies don't think of quality behind that. They find other ways to do that, which is okay to a point, but regardless, you have to have elements at some level to ensure whatever system you design for the success of the requirements from your client or customer. Let's look at this from two ways. All right, let's start off with the first one. A company has a set of requirements. They set up a system designed to meet those requirements. They do not have a quality team, quality person in place. They are putting quality down to the individuals providing the work. So it's on the employees in the operation providing the work that is checking, overseeing, monitoring, tracking, whatever word you want to call it, the work, the quality of the work. Now, they would have to be looking at every aspect of the system design. So on top of doing that part, monitoring, they would also have to report. So once they report issues, report nonconformances, they have to act on them. They have to work on those. So however it's documented as a quality audit surveillance, if issues are found, it has to be worked preferably at the lowest level to contain and correct the issue and prevent it from happening again. So if you have no quality, the individuals working that function have to have the knowledge to do that successfully the right way. That's what is important. I've been around long enough to see and interacted with enough people, enough companies to see that that knowledge is rarely there within a company, within functional areas. For me, that's an issue because without a good corrective preventive action against the finding, it will certainly happen again. And you don't want that to impact your customer, your client in any way. You don't really want it to impact you, period, internally, externally. And if you don't have the right people at the right time to do what is needed, you will have problems. But outside of the auditing, the monitoring, the findings of nonconformances, there's a lot of other aspects that a non-quality individual would also have to monitor within the system for it to be successful, if that's the intent. Tracking feedback from your customer or client is another one, and you may think that's an easy one, but it's not. Depending on the size of the company and what is being done for the customer or client, a lot of work may have to go into it, and someone who already has a full-time job really doesn't have that time to dedicate to handling a feedback program for the customer. So companies have to think about, how do you want quality handled? in a serious way. A lot of companies don't want to spend the extra money. They think of it as a sunk cost. You can't get the money back. It's a waste of money. It's not needed. We're going to do fine. But then your client, your customer finds issues and there's rework. You may lose a customer or a client because of something that happened. The cost of having no quality or poor quality will be far bigger than accounting for quality within your system, your company, and the costs associated with it. I've seen too many examples of it, and you could Google it. You could go online and find tons of examples of when quality is given uh, the back seat, when it isn't treated as important. People have lost their lives. Companies have lost billions of dollars, gone bankrupt. It's affected thousands of people's jobs. So a company needs to remember that if you decide to go the route of not having an actual quality team to monitor the system, there could be consequences depending on who you have in place to monitor all the aspects. Do you have the right person? Now let's talk about if you do have a quality team. Now each company is going to be different. You could have one person, you could have 10, you could have 50. It depends on the size of the business, the scope, on how many people they need to monitor quality. It's always ideal when we're talking about the first point that you have quality in the operation at the source being monitored, but that's not always successful. I haven't seen it successful in too many places, to be quite frank. It's always beneficial to have experienced quality individuals monitoring the systems. So whether it's one person or 50, they need to know what they're doing. But I've also seen plenty of people go into quality from other fields and get trained up and be very successful. So it's not like you have to go to college to be a quality individual. You can learn it, but it does take a unique individual to do quality, because I've also seen individuals not be successful as an auditor because of their approach, their demeanor, their ability. Even though we kind of joke that quality isn't the police, we don't have badges. You still have to be a bit of a detective to do it. You have to be good at looking at documents, reports, reading them, going through them, sampling those documents, asking questions to get to those documents and the source of compliance. So having the right people is very important. Giving them support is very important. Quality teams, or one person, has to answer to the top. They are meant to be independent, because ideally a quality team, or again one person, may need to audit every aspect of the company. So they should be answering to the top individual of that business. Okay, that is very important, because otherwise, if they're answering to someone else, especially someone that they're supposed to be auditing, there will be conflict. It's important that whoever is handling quality understands the system, trains up and reads and understands the system that they're going to be monitoring. Without that, they're going to fail, period. They have to become the experts in that quality system that is designed and built. The operations folks may not be the experts, but they also need to understand their role in it. And leadership needs to support the quality system, because that is the business model that company is utilizing to be successful for the client and the customer. So while the quality team or one person may be responsible for quality and monitoring it and reporting on it, it's the leadership that needs to be supporting it and building the culture, because without the culture, the system will fail. Moving into my final thoughts on this subject, whether a company creates a system or not, the end goal is to be successful for the customer and client. A system, in my professional opinion, is vital to the success of the company. Building it, monitoring it, those are very important elements. I've seen too many companies that their main focus is on safety and safety only, which is fine. Safety, of course, is critical. You want your employees to be safe, but oftentimes quality is forgotten. There's no one monitoring the quality of the service being provided or the product being created, which is why that system is important, because oftentimes when issues come up, the root cause of those issues is there's nothing designed. There is no system. So having a system is important, and having the right people to monitor it, measure it, is also important. You need to know how you're doing at all times. Reports are important. Management reviews are important. If you're not tracking all that, it's a waste, which is another issue that I've seen happen too often. You build a system, you then appoint someone, but then they aren't really tracking things, and issues come up, creep into the workplace because various aspects of the system that was designed and supposed to be monitored is not. So it's critical that anyone that's put in place to monitor the quality system does it correctly. And remember, it is all for the client and the customer. What you are doing needs to be value added for them. All right, next episode, I am going to touch on quality assurance, which is one of the important elements of managing a quality system. Glad you could make it to the Buzz on Quality with Justin Buzzard.